Good evening and welcome to another round of the Raceface AMS 2 League. This is round number 4, unless I'm very much mistaken, and the guys will be racing around the Redbull Ring in Austria. A ring with quite a bit of history to it, previously being the A1 ring and before that the Österreich ring. But yeah, as it currently stands, the home of the Red Bull racing team in Formula 1, and one of those circuits that everyone has pretty much seen at some point or knows of. Obviously raced by multiple different race series between MotoGP, Formula 1, and various other motorsport series in general. So very well-known track, only 10 corners, and very, very easy to invalidate your lap times in real life here with the track limits through turn 9 and 10, which we're about to see now as D. Nell goes through those final couple of corners. But yeah, so far so good. The guys have been practicing this evening, and you can see they're giving the track limits quite a wide berth. Not entirely sure if track limits are such a thing in this particular game, but we'll see how this goes. So let's get to it and get the audio up and running, and yeah, let's see how this goes. Quali session has started, 16 minutes left as you can see, and we'll see the guys heading around. Massive wheel spin there by DNL coming out of the third corner. Third corner in name only. Pretty much everyone ignores the fact that there is a second corner, which is that little kink you see. Well, it's not even a kink. But between the first and third corners, there's a weird little curve that is counted as the second corner. So yeah, one of those weird things with the track. I think they saw that it only had 9 corners and decided, let's make up a corner some way. Yeah, very quick track, lots of straight lines, lots of DRS. Obviously, we won't see the DRS being animated on the cars, but there are 3 DRS zones around this track. DNL going into the first one now, down the pit straight into turn number 1. And obviously he's backing out of it because he has done his lap. Let's see if we can find someone on a lap. It looks like Altman is going on a lap. This is turn number 1. It's a pretty harsh corner. You can see lots of runoff on the outside, a pretty decent curb on the inside through turn number 2. This little bit over here as Altman decides to come to a stop as well. So that was turn 2, and then turn 3 up at the hill, the hairpin that everyone knows of. This is through 5 into 6. Which is this downhill left-hander. 7 going back up the hill, or rather flattening out a little bit. 8 is that little kink over there, which if you maximize the track as far as you possibly can, it's basically not a corner. And then turns 9 and 10 are right here, and you can see the pit lane entrance there, that white line that cuts across the track. So pit lane entrance right there. It is a scene of various issues quite often. Because obviously if you're coming into the pit lane, you're pulling aside to the side there, moving quite slowly, and then people on the racing line will be coming across you. In the chat, let's go Cosmic. Cosmic in the Red Bull Racing RB19, or the equivalent thereof. This obviously being unofficial liveries, thanks to an incredible modder. Unfortunately, I don't have his name or their name, but yeah, obviously the RB19 modeled, or skin modeled after this year's car by Red Bull Racing, which is absolutely dominant. So Cosmic Politician going through turn 1, you can see the yellow sausage curb on the outside there. Incredibly easy to lose it across there. Now up through 2, which isn't really a corner for a Formula 1 car. The downforce makes it completely flat. Turn 3, most a difficult corner on the track, and you can see Cosmic struggling a little bit with the corner. Not entirely surprising there. Massive lockup, so his tires are going to be completely destroyed after that. The guys are finding that the tires are lasting maybe 1 lockup and then immediately dying, so not ideal there, and that would be why he's backed out of it. DNL goes through turn number 4, and this second part of turn number 4 where the gradient of the corner changes, that is turn number 5. And yeah, now 6, a massive gravel trap on the outside there, and almost caught D. Nell there. Lucky to keep it going there. We've seen a few people lose it around there. And Miguel, which corner have you been having issues with? is it turn 3? As we see Dino retiring back to the pits. This game does allow you to stop on track and return to the pit box, so people are taking full advantage of that, coming to a stop, returning to the pit box, and then getting out there for another fast lap. Ooh, a Zero clattering across the curb there. Weird little... I don't like that camera down there. But yeah, Azir comes across the line. He is currently on a 104.623, where Cosmic locked up. Yeah, turn 3 at the top of the hill. That is where Azir is approaching now. So through to into 3, which is where we saw the lockup and that horrible hairpin. It's so difficult to get the power down. You can see Azir spinning up the rear tires as he gets through there. So Azir at the top, 104.623. DNL with a 106.406. Altman only a 107.752, although he goes faster with a 106.333. So still a couple of seconds off Azir, 1.7 seconds to be exact. Only 700ths of a second ahead of DNL. So well done to Altman to get up there. Cosmic Politician, is he on a lap? No, he's at the beach. And getting back onto the track, he is in the Red Bull of Max Verstappen. So unusual to see that Red Bull going across the gravel. K-Fan, no lap set so far, so I wonder if he is actually on a lap at the moment. So let's go have a look as you're to set the new fastest lap. No surprises there. But let's actually go fully, no, that's not on board, cockpit, and see exactly how K-Fan is doing this. We have seen him be incredibly quick in previous rounds, so let's see what he can do through this one. A little bit of lag going on there for him, but shouldn't be a problem as far as performance is concerned. This is obviously not a fast lap, 123 so far. You can see in the top left of the wheel, maximizes the entrance of 10, maximizes the exit of 10 as well, gets across the line, and we will be starting a lap going uphill. You can see elevation here incredibly steep, and crosses across that that yellow sausage curb. Hopefully, that's unfortunate to hear, Miguel. I think you can still join during the quali session. I'm pretty sure there's no problems with that. So yeah, maybe drop a message and see if he says that you can join. If you do have the time. There's 10 minutes left in the quali session, so I think you can join before the race. I stand to be corrected, but I'm pretty sure Azir has said that that is possible. So coming out of 4 and going through 5, let's see how he does as he gets into the incredible downhill of 6 and 7. You can see the hill is much steeper than it looks like from offboard through 7 into 8. Nice amount of curve through the apex of 8. Now down towards turn 9, completely unsighted until you're basically ready to brake, and then 10 is incredibly difficult to keep it within track limits. That downhill and off camber corner, and K-Fan comes across the line with a 105.558. So good run by K-Fan to get within 1.6 seconds of Azir. Azir going out for another lap now, so he is wanting to put his time entirely out of reach of everyone else. I'm pretty sure this is actually quicker than the Formula 1 game, which is generally seen as oh, that's unfortunate. Completely know what being beat down by work feels like, and very much sympathize with you. But yeah, that is really unfortunate. But yeah, we'll see you in a couple of weeks, I'm sure. I think there is a break after this race before round number 5. Those of you that have been following the series would have noticed that we didn't do last week's Silverstone race. That was due to load shedding taking out most of the grid, and a couple of questions coming up about the availability of DLC for the guys. The Silverstone track unfortunately locked behind a DLC, although there has been some theorizing that you don't need the DLC as long as the server owns the DLC, which is a little weird, but I'm sure we'll test it at some point to see whether that actually works. So Azir coming through, and this will be the start of his fast lap, and we'll see how he extracts it. It gets nicely to the left hand side and all the way across the curb there, clatters across the entire inside curb, also across the yellow sausage curb on the outside. No invalidations just yet, I think. It looks so slow up there. No, I think he has actually possibly backed. Yeah, he's definitely backed out of it. Getting out of the way for that is Logan Sargent Williams. I do believe that is K-Fan. It is indeed. And Kevin, massive amount of tyre smoke coming off the exit of turn 3 as he heads down the hill towards turn 4. Yeah, DRS zones. I forgot I was in the middle of explaining where the DRS zones are, and if Azure does go around for another lap, I will just run through them quickly. But yeah, so currently we are watching KFan coming through the third sector. Third sector actually starts quite. It's the sectors are divided up quite interestingly, but with only 10 turns on the circuit, they pretty much have to be KFan taking a massive amount of curb on the exit of 10. So let's go back to Azure. So let's go on board. Oh, it's such a horrible camera. Okay, so we'll go from here. So obviously DRS zone down the pit straight. DRS is starting right there on that line just after the pit exit, all the way up the hill. You'll have DRS available to you, and braking at normally around 100 meters. Can't see the slowdown unfortunately there, and as you get out nicely there, and the third DRS zone has just started down towards turn number 4. So pretty much wherever it is straight, it is a DRS zone as the zero comes to a stop. Obviously not happy with the lap so far, but yeah, pretty much everywhere it is straight for an extended period of time is a DRS zone, except for the run down to turn 9, and I do have to wonder if that is because of the pit entrance on the entrance of turn 9, and I can only imagine how terrible that would be. DRS, someone running with DRS right up into the DRS entry zone with someone else moving slowly into the pit lane. By the way, if my audio is a little unusual, if it's not loud enough either on my microphone or otherwise on the game itself, please let me know, and I will quickly adjust that. Yeah, it's difficult to tell exactly how it's coming through without listening to it, and I don't listen to it while I'm casting because I can't focus on more than one thing at a time apparently, so or at least not audibly. So Kfan starting his next lap, you could see that was actually a much better camera than we've seen through there previously. You could see how much of the curb on the inside he took. It does clatter across the Socha curb there, a little bit of wheel spin getting on the power, which unfortunately will mean that he lost a little bit of performance up the hill. And once again, lots of wheel spin coming out of 3, not entirely surprising. You can see the tire smoke hanging in the air there. One thing that this game does do is the tire smoke incredibly well, or at the very least it does it incredibly it does seem to be incredibly voluminous. So yeah, that is one thing there. Please let me know if that makes the microphone sound a bit better. Also just adjusted something, so that might make it sound a bit better. So Kfan coming through the final couple of corners on his hot lap, extending the track as much as he possibly can. It's one of those situations that if you are allowed to do it, you will do it as a racing driver. And there we go, 4 minutes to go, and within 6/10 of Azure. So that is quite interesting. Yeah, apparently the microphone doesn't like to be too far away from me. So yeah, I think that might be it. Oh no, I can see what happened. I think my second microphone was actually still picking up, even though I had accidentally enabled it. That explains a lot. Okay, so yeah, Azure out in front, or 103.969. It hasn't managed to improve that time, but 103 still an incredibly quick time around the Austria circuit. Kfan in second, 6/10 back. We did say that he had some pace, and he has now managed to find it. D Nell 1.9 seconds back, Altman 2.3 seconds back, and Cosmopolitan currently in 5th position, 6.395 seconds back. Okay, so Cosmic Politician, I think, might be on a lap now. Currently, as I said, 6.395 seconds back, so we'll see how he does on this lap as he heads up the hill. Um, it's difficult to say. There are a couple people who absolutely swear by AMS. Ooh, and that is a massive lockup there by Cosmic Politician. That is going to unfortunately end his lap, I'm sure. And past there by, I believe it is K-Fan just circulating around on his laps. But yeah, AMS2, it's a difficult one. There are some people who absolutely swear by it, and I'm pretty sure Azure is one of them. They have also recently introduced proper wet line physics, apparently according to one of their patch notes. So it really does have a couple of things going for it, but it is... Ooh, and that's a, that's a bit of a trip through the gravel. And is he beached? I think he might be beached, and he's just returned to the pit box, so giving up on that. Yeah, it is a very difficult game. There is a massive depth to the amount of customization you can make to the setups of the cars and so on. And as I said, some people absolutely swear by it. They are working on it the entire time. Personally, I'm not much of a fan of the game, if I'm honest. I do find that it's a little bit on the harsh side of physics, if that makes sense. And it's very difficult to get your setups right and so on, and they're quite I was going to say quite few resources, but that kind of comes across a little bit ambiguous. I haven't been able to find as many resources for the game as you would expect, and even Azure did mention that he had to actually basically build the setup that he's using from scratch here. It is a time trial setup that he's adjusted to be stable enough to actually race in. So yeah, it's one yeah, it's one of those games that, again, a lot of people swear by it, but at the same time, me personally, I prefer some other games. Having said that, it's not that expensive as far as sim racing is concerned. I think it's like 230 Rand for the basic pack. And yeah, Raceface obviously does have this championship running, and yeah, we're always looking for more people. So if you are keen to join, obviously just let us know, and I'm sure we can fit you in some way as quali comes to the end. I think Azure is on a final lap, and we'll see how he does. And yeah, let's see what he does. But yeah, as I said, the biggest thing for me that sort of made me look at AMS2 in another light was the fact that they actually worked out how to put down correct wet weather physics, rather than people just being able to stick to the dry line. Apparently you do have to go and find the wet lines, find the traction, and yeah, so it's one of those things. Yeah. Personally, I would say if people are going to go full sim with the intention of going for a Formula 1 style car, I'd probably still recommend the original Assetto Corsa with either the VRC or RSS Formula 1 cars, which are absolutely incredible. Okay, so Azure comes across the line. Last person across the line does not improve his time that I could see, 1:03.969, so just could not beat that 1:03.969 time, but into the 1:03, so incredible time there. Carbush in second, that's K-Fan, 1.04, 0.600 flat, that's always fun to see. Deervolt in third with a 1:05.916, Altman 1:05.971, so only 600ths back, and then finally Cosmic Politician learning the game still and getting through into fifth position at 1.10.364. Rensport, I'm not 100% sure when it's coming out. They've been very cagey about a release date, not entirely sure whether that's good or bad. But yeah, it is looking incredibly good. Although someone did point something out to me, I can't remember exactly who it was, but someone pointed something out to me which has basically ruined it for me. And that's the fact that it's still running on Unreal Engine 5. So Unreal Engine 5 obviously absolutely incredible as far as graphics is concerned and so on and so forth. Absolutely incredible. But it's not built for car games. And so you do get this sort of feeling that the cars are almost floating around. They don't move around as much as you'd expect a real life car to do or anything like that. Just having a look to see. Okay, I think the guys are still just waiting to ready up on the grid. I don't think this is a server crash. The server crashes are generally quite easy to spot, so I don't think that's this. But I just want to make sure before I completely rule it out. Oh, there we go. I was starting to get a little bit worried. Alrighty, and a good start there by Azure. Dinal getting a decent start as well. K-Fan breaking a little bit later into turn 1 and taking that second place from his teammate Altman, having to back out of turn 1 to avoid a collision. Cosmic Politician keeping up with the back of the crew, and into turn 3 for the first time. Everyone looks like they're getting through there fine. Cosmic Politician taking a cautious line through there. Just needs to make it to the end of the race. We have seen a couple of retirements in the series. So yeah, 5 people on the grid, 10 points to the last person as it stands, and that is a server crash. Of course it's a server crash. I mentioned it. Why did it do that? Okay, let me go see what's happened and I will be right back. Alrighty, and we are back. We're just waiting for everyone to join up and then we'll get underway again. We are going to be running a shortened race at 25 laps due to the load shedding coming at 10 o'clock. So the guys will be able to head out there with slightly better tires than what they otherwise would. Yeah, the server just decided to end the session. So it decided that everyone was done and had completed the race and imported all the results and everything. So not entirely sure why it would have done that. Yeah, the server for this game is a little bit unstable. So yeah, just one of those things, unfortunately. But yeah, we're gonna get underway very, very shortly. As soon as everyone is in. We're just waiting for one more guy, and then I'm sure we'll get going again. Thank you for your patience. Obviously, it's one of those things. Murphy indeed. And yeah, fun little crash. Cosmic. Just waiting on K-Fan to get back in, it looks like. Alrighty, let's get this back underway. 25 laps to go. The guys have basically said that they're not too fussed about the the quali because it's just going to end up the same way anyway. So I'm sure we'll see some interesting, slightly more interesting racing, possibly some forced passing by certain people. DNL gets the first position, Azure in second, Cosmic Politician ends up in third, Altman in fourth, K-Fan in fifth place. So yeah, K-Fan's going to have to work his way through the field. Azure has one car to try and get through. Cosmic Politician has the opportunity to try and hold on to that position. Altman needs to get through. He's probably going to try and follow Azure and whatever line Azure does end up taking. So yeah, 25 laps to go. We will be underway very shortly. And just making sure I have the audio correct, which I didn't, so good thing I'm testing. So yeah, we'll see how this goes. Please let me know if there is any echo. I do have my Discord mic plugged back in, but hopefully it is disabled correctly, so you shouldn't be getting any sort of echo. And let's see how this goes. We should get a little flash of the screen before it gets underway to know that the guys have all loaded their setups, and are ready to go. Oh yeah, Miguel. I was responding to you regarding Rensport. Yeah, no idea when it's come out. When it's coming out, I think there have been a couple of rumors, but nothing really confirmed, if I recall correctly. And yeah, as I said, UE5. There will be extensive modding support apparently, which is going to be interesting to see, but it is going to be through a web store as we see the guys get underway. Altman gets a fairly slow start, and that is Cosmic Politician, a massive smash there, and unfortunately already out of the race, maybe just pushing just a little bit too hard to try and keep that position, and massive smash there, wheel spin on the back and into the wall. That is really unfortunate. A stick drift. Oh, is that what? That's really... that's the worst. Sorry, bud. I can imagine this game is not easy to play on a controller. So yeah, Azure gets past D Nell with a nice move down into turn 4. Pretty much what we expect to see. K-Fan already up into 3rd place. No, it's not, definitely not frowned upon. I'm pretty sure Azure does share some of his setups if you ask him nicely. So obviously that is absolutely allowed if you can get someone to lend you a setup. K-Fan and Altman actually fighting really hard into turn 9. Altman goes to the inside, K-Fan goes to the outside. K-Fan takes a massive amount of the runoff there, and if there was a steward here, he would definitely be telling him to give that position away. But K-Fan hasn't made his way up the field as quickly as I expected. Currently going through turn 1, and he is still behind his teammate D Nell. And let's see what they can do. Cosmic Politician, thanks for joining us, even though that the stick drift crash happened. Yeah, good to see you in the chat. And Miguel, as I said, not a bad idea to use other people's setups if you can find them. Yeah, Rensport, yeah, UE5, extensive modding with an internal mod manager, so far as I understand, but it will also come with an internal mod store, and it sounds like they're basically using an NFT style system to make sure that people don't steal other people's cars or just share cars wherever they want, even though they're not calling it an NFT system. Everyone's looked at the description of it and gone, it's an NFT. So yeah, Azure for the win, absolutely. If he keeps the car pointed in the right direction, I'm sure he will get it, as we see contact between K-Fan and D-Nell, the teammates fighting it out down to the first corner. K-Fan a slightly compromised entrance into turn 1, but manages to get through quite all right. And D-Nell currently now into 3rd place, K-Fan in 2nd, Azure up in 1st, as we see the two of them breaking into turn 3. Massive wheel spin there by K-Fan coming out of turn 3, so definitely pushing to try and catch up to Azure, and we'll keep an eye on their lap times. 107.022 is currently the fastest lap of the race. Yes, it is. I can see it there on the top right. So fastest lap of the race, that 107.022. K-Fan 4/10ths back, but that was behind his teammates, so we'll see what he can do now. Alrighty, so through turn 9, I'm pretty sure there is a mandatory pit stop, so they will all have to remember. Oh, hey, no worries at all. And yeah, it's that humble bundle. That bundle actually comes around fairly often. So yeah, if that does pop up again, I'll be sure to share it once again into various channels that that I can, because yeah, it is a pretty good bundle. Obviously, there's a whole bunch of games that you get out of it, and lots of fun in general. So yeah, K-Fan is making his way up through, trying to catch up to Azure, 2.4 seconds back at the moment. D-Nell in 3rd has dropped back quite substantially from his team, and Altman in 4th, just running his own race at the moment, was quicker on that last lap than D-Nell, so we'll see what he can do in the Alpha Tauri. Looks like he's taking a little bit of a conservative line through 6, and let's see, through 7 does get up to the curb on both sides, but not really jumping across either curbing. So just taking it a little easy, and I'm sure the guys are going to be thinking of their tires as well. Not sure what tires everyone is on, unfortunately cannot check it, but yeah, it will be interesting to see how this plays out when they decide to pit, because obviously 25 laps to go. The medium tires should be able to go all the way through the race, but obviously there is that mandatory pit stop. So Azure gets a second fastest lap, a 107.004. So bringing the times down as the fuel burns off, as he gets used to the track and the feeling of the car under high fuel, and yeah, definitely showing us the pace of that Ferrari. Which is unusual to say this season, but definitely making it work. Currently not on as quick a lap, so maybe his tires are starting to wear out. Tire wear at 2 times to try and promote some tire strategy. We have not changed it for the 35% race that we are doing at the moment. We did think about putting it to 3 times tire wear, but with the lockups already chewing up a tire pretty much immediately, decided that would not be wise. At least you can lock up a couple of times now, rather than just once and done, which, you know, depending on how committed you are to realism, the one and done lockup could be a good thing, considering how badly it seems to affect people. I know that different sims, like I think R Factor, might simulate what's it called, flat spots. Yeah, I think R Factor does simulate flat spots. I'm pretty sure that Assetto Corsa Competizione also simulates flat spots. So, yeah, those lockups can have a drastic effect on tires in other games as well. This one, it basically just makes your tire jelly. So not quite as realistic. Ooh, as K-Fan takes a lot of the curb there, and some of the gravel with as well, as you saw Stone just bouncing around after that. That is something that this game does do quite nicely. I'm pretty sure you can see the marbles actually creating themselves as the guys go through the corners as hard as possible. K-Fan actually picking up the pace a little bit, only 2.7 tenths off the fastest lap of the race. So he is pushing in that Williams to try and catch up to Azure. The two of them basically out of touch with the rest. Dinal 9.4 seconds back at the moment, and Altman 13 seconds back now. So yeah, Azure definitely commanding the race, but K-Fan hasn't let go of it. This will be won or lost in the pits. I'm pretty sure someone said when we went to check what was happening with the server, and I do agree with that. If someone does pull off an audacious pit stop strategy and manages to get it work exactly right, I'm sure they will be able to do something with it. Obviously, mediums are mentioned to be the tire of choice, but we'll see if well, we won't see it. But I'm sure we'll see some people try the different tire compounds. With the game itself, it doesn't enforce a tire compound change, unfortunately, and yeah, so we'll see what the guys will do. And this is something that a lot of people sort of forget about these sim racing games, and especially with Formula 1. Formula 1 has a whole bunch of very interesting rules, very different rules to force the teams to try and come together. Obviously, at the moment, there's the wind tunnel rules that obviously aren't simulated in any game, not even the F1 23 game, because you can't really race a full season. It's something I'd love to see, is if they actually had like a seasonal race almost, where you had to develop your car and sort of that sort of thing. You'd like the My Team thing, where you can sort of develop the car in the direction that you want and make sure that it's going the right direction and so on, for your driving style. That would be quite interesting if they'd created some sort of seasonal league, but unfortunately the in-game season is the in-game league feature is completely broken. So it was the last time we checked, which was at the beginning of our last season. But yeah, currently Azure out in front, K-Fan in second. What I was saying though is the F1 game actually has a lot of complexity to the rules around the racing. Obviously the track limits themselves, the white lines being the track limits and nothing beyond that. The safety car rules, which I don't think many other games actually have safety cars that work. There's a safety car in this lobby, but I'm not sure if it actually does do anything outside of just sit there. So yeah, safety cars, red flags, yellow flags, blue flags, etc., as far as flags are concerned. It doesn't do random mechanical... actually, I think it can do random mechanical failures now. I seem to remember seeing a setting for it somewhere, but I can't remember if that was standard Grand Prix or multiplayer Grand Prix. So yeah, there is... oh, no, of course, the DRS being only available within a second of the car ahead. It's one of those things that seems to be particularly difficult to try and simulate, and a lot of sims don't actually simulate that sort of thing. So yeah, a lot of games do the simulation side a lot better. So the tire wear, the tire performance, the aerodynamic performance, and so on. As we see Altman actually coming into the pits. So the first person to come into the pits, Altman going for the undercut, 9 laps in, will probably have started on the soft tires, is coming in at the moment, will probably be going on to the mediums, just looking at the times. We'll see if his car gets put back down. It does indeed. The wheels are off. He'll probably get released now before the wheels are back on. There we go. And just something like that, like the animation of the pit stops and so on. It is a massive amount of work that goes into small things like that with the F1 game. And yeah, it is an incredibly complex game. But again, they do really tend to skimp on the simulation side of things, which is why a lot of people look at other games as alternatives to the Formula 1 game as better alternatives. So that's why we're running AMS2, because the sim aspect of it is incredibly good. So yeah, back to the race at hand. So Azir currently out in front. K-Fan now in the pits. He is probably also going on to the mediums. A little bit of a lockup coming into the pits there, which is a little unusual. And off they go without any sort of tires, but at least he's on the floor. We don't have any floating Ferraris this evening. Dinel now in second place since he has not pit. Azir out in first, 14 seconds up, which it looks a lot worse than it is. K-Fan 1.46 minutes back. I don't think that is... oh, there we go. 32 seconds back. Yeah, and that's the other thing. Like it's strange little things like this, like the delta gap. Formula 1 is delta gap is quite easy to read. It's easy to see where approximately you are as Azir comes into the pits. You can see just about keeping it within the pit lane limits. And he did make it very clear that you had to keep within the pit lane limits. Massive lockup there coming into the pits. Completely destroys those tires, I'm sure. And he is now getting those tires replaced. Ah, my word. It is fun. But yeah, so Azir currently into second position as Dinel gets through, and we've seen a couple people actually run through the pit. We've seen a couple of people crash into the pit lane in various games that have this track. No such misfortune for Azir getting out of there fine. Dinel's tires look like they might not be lasting too much longer as he leaves a massive puff of smoke at turn 3 and looks to be shaking around a little bit, possibly struggling with a little bit of lag. But yeah, so far so good for Dinel, leading the race at the moment thanks to Azir's pit stop. Azir not that far back, but has managed to make 10 seconds up on K-Fan. So the pit stop strategy, that early pit stop, that undercut, unfortunately not working out 100% for K-Fan. Did still lose a little bit of time to Azir as Dinel goes even longer into the race. I wonder if he's gone for a reverse strategy. So if he's on the medium tires, he will be able to go quite deep into this race, pit near the end, and then be rapid at the end of the race. Not entirely sure what the pit stop loss is in this game on this track. Doesn't look like it's too much, so we'll see how it goes. And yeah, interesting little things here. So on all of the cars, you'll see two little rings with the letter in it. So there is a great view of the E on by the airbox near the back. There is also a little thing just in front of the halo. There's supposed to be a little N, and I don't see it modeled on this car. It is not. Let's see if that's across the board. Can't see from there. So we'll wait for a view where it does show us from the front of the car. Okay, no, so it hasn't modeled the N, but that's a couple of safety features with these Formula 1 cars, with the real-life Formula 1 cars, as well as we see Kyle actually catching up to Azure. He has caught up about a second now to the back of Azure, or 2 seconds possibly, depending on how that gap actually works there, whether it's an interval gap or a leader gap. So K-Fan pushing incredibly hard to try and catch up to Azure, and 5/10 quicker on that last lap, a 106.7, and he unfortunately overcooks it through turn 1, and the commentator's curse of note there, and that is not going to be good for his tires, and loses it through turn 1 sideways into the runoff there. Really unfortunate, and his tires are probably not feeling so good right now. That would have been massive amounts of massive amounts of drag onto those tires. So it'll be interesting to see if he does manage to keep going, or if he comes into the pits to get rid of those tires. But seems to have the car under control once again. Maybe took just a little bit too much of that sausage curb on the inside of turn 1, and spat the car out, spun it onto spun it broadside, and off he went. So really unfortunate there for K-Fan. He was catching up to Azure in that moment, but Azure now has a little bit less pressure and now is free to chase down D Nell. What was I saying just now? I don't remember. Oh yes, safety features on these cars. So that little E thing at the top there, which is I'm pretty sure it's on both sides of the airbox on the real life cars. We can't see it on this side, and definitely no N in front of the halo. But that E has a little red ring pull next to it, and if you pull on that ring pull, it basically destroys the inside of the car, because it releases the extinguishant into the car itself, into the airbox, into the engine bay, into the cockpit itself. So generally you only do it when once the driver is out. The fire Dino actually finally coming into the pits. Azure was about 3 seconds back, so we'll see how long it actually takes for a pit stop. Azure now out in first place, and wherever Dino actually ends up, and unfortunately this might be to K-Fan that we have to judge it. So K-Fan about 16.4 seconds back at the pit stop entry. Dino comes out, and 23, so that's about 7 seconds extra, so it's about 23, no wait, what? 23 seconds? Is it 23 seconds? I think it is 23 seconds. So it's about 23 seconds lost, 24 seconds lost in the pit lane. And obviously then you still have to re-prepare your tires for racing. So yeah, the pit lane is quite a loss around here, especially since the lap is only 1.06 seconds long. Yeah, so definitely not something you want to be doing too often, as Azure sets a new fastest lap once again, with a fastest sector 2 as well. Oh no, that was a fastest sector. Wait, how is that a fastest sector 2? He came to the end of sector 3. I don't know how this game works. But anyway, yeah, so that little extinguisher basically goes off and tries to extinguish any fires. It is quite a small one, and it is built to fit into the cockpit around all sorts of other tools. And then the little N ring that you see in front of the halo, that actually puts the car into neutral if the driver forgets to do it when he puts the steering wheel back in. So the reason they put the steering wheel back in is just so the marshals can remove the car quicker, and so that they can make sure that it's in neutral. If the driver hasn't put it into neutral, then that button will force it into neutral if the gearbox is not completely destroyed. So yeah, just a little bit of an interesting note about what that weird E is by the airbox. When I found out about it, it was an interesting little trivial fact. So, Azure out in front, K-Fan in second, D-Nell in third, Altman in fourth. I'm not sure who that best lap delta was for. I think it might have been no, I think it might have been for D-Nell because he is a little bit further back. His best lap, his last lap, a 1:16.806, and we'll see. Let's see what he does coming through here. And he does get a better lap than his previous best. So Azure has now popped up with a fastest lap. There's a 1:06.343. So that 1:06.343 that we saw was actually his fastest lap, but it took a while for it to show up in the little top right box thing, which is a little weird. What does this do? Does it just randomly go between the... Sorry, I've never noticed the all button. Yeah, it just randomly goes between them, which isn't entirely useful. So 0 out in front, 18 laps down, 7 laps to go, including this one, I'm pretty sure. There we go. It should click across to 19. Yes, 7 laps to go. The math is always confusing to me, so because it says 19 out of 25. So it should be 6, but no, it's 7 because we're still on lap 19, and it catches me out so often. So yeah, 7 laps to go. Azure currently coming towards the sort of halfway point of the lap, which is this turn 4, and now heading down the hill, down towards what most people look at almost as Sector 2, even though this is actually the beginning of Sector 3, because Sector 1 is essentially one turn and a straight, or 2 straights. Sector 2 is a couple of corners, Sector 3 is a couple of corners, and then it's just back to straights and the couple of sharp turns again. So Azure out in front will probably be looking to try and force a faster lap again. Doesn't have a free pit stop just yet. K-Fan 17 seconds back. As we said, about 14 seconds difference. 7 seconds is a little bit too much time to try and catch up in the laps left available. 6 laps left now as Azure has crossed the line onto lap 20. K-Fan about to cross the line as well. So as long as K-Fan can stay within those 24 seconds, Azure doesn't have a free pit stop to try and force another fastest lap of the race. K-Fan has gotten the fastest first sector with a 15.578, so we'll see if he is actually able to manage that. Again, no, he does look like he's lost a little bit of time there. You can see the marbles on the runoff there, and K-Fan looks like he went a little bit too far to the left there. It's strange that he's staying so close to the left-hand side of the track there. Not the fastest way through there, but maybe just trying to conserve his tires a little bit, trying to make sure that that car gets to the end. Has maybe gone for a slightly more aggressive setup or a more aggressive tire strategy, but he is definitely doing something different to the guys around him. No racing line in this game, so you do have to try and figure it out on the go. So maybe he's feeling a little bit wary after that spin coming out of a T1, and so maybe he's taking a little bit less, leaving a little bit more on the table just to make sure that he does actually make it through to the race, doesn't lose any further positions. He is, I don't know if this is an interval time. Let's go to overview. That is not an interval time, that is a leader time. So driver behind Diavoltnal is at 13.6 seconds back from Carl Busch fan, who is K-Fan, and Zero 17.9 seconds ahead. So easily out in front on lap 21 of 25. About 4.5 laps to go until he has managed to secure another victory here. 21 point, what am I reading? Completely the wrong thing, sorry about that. Yeah, Azure currently out in first. Kfan in second, trying to chase him down, not quite managing. They're trying to extend the track wherever he can find some runoff to be able to do so, and doesn't look like he's managing to make any sort of progress. Azure has had a massive lap on that last lap, and you can see Kfan throwing it through turn 9, going very deep into the runoff there, just trying to find some pace, trying to see if he can pull back Azure just even a little bit, and Azure just pushing on. DNL currently coming through turn 9 into turn 10. Looks like he's quite comfortable in that Williams, in the Williams of Alex Albon, who great to see him performing well in the real life Formula 1. And if you guys haven't watched the quali session or don't know the results, absolutely worth a watch. And yeah, a really unfortunate what happened to Daniel Ricciardo earlier in the weekend, but luckily it doesn't look like it's too bad, although he will be out for a little while. And good to see Liam Lawson on the grid. Unfortunately didn't have a great time getting into the AlphaTauri in mixed conditions. So a little bit of an issue for him, but I mean, first time in a Formula 1 car at Zandvoort in mixed conditions, I can't imagine that would have been easy. Altman currently in 4th position in, let's see, that is actually Daniel Ricciardo's AlphaTauri. So yeah, he is still just keeping his nose pointed in the right direction. 4 cars left on the grid after we started with 5, and yeah, Azure out in front as per usual. Kfan in second, DNL in third, Altman in 4th comes across the line. 3 laps left to go for the guys, 3.5 for Azure, and you know, getting closer to the end now as the guys just focus on bringing it home. Obviously there will be fastest lap, I wouldn't be surprised if we do see fastest lap attempts near the end, and I think Azure is doing exactly that. Crosses the pit lane entry line a little bit, but he is now coming in, will be going on to, I'm sure, the brand new soft tires. Kfan has an opportunity here. If he can keep pushing, if he can get ahead and hold on to that position, maybe defend, first he will prevent Azure's fastest lap, but also he might be able to hold on to the position. So Azure coming out of the pits now has had a good pit stop. Kfan coming through the first corner right now will end up side by side, basically. Oh no, Azure got out in front. That was an incredible pit stop, but Kfan is now right on top of him. Will he be able to get out of range of Kfan before Kfan actually does start to fight him? We'll see very shortly. And Kfan pushing that Williams as hard as he possibly can. Massive tire spin there. Point for fastest lap. I'm pretty sure there is one. I can't be 100% sure. Azure actually runs the championship itself. I just do the commentary. So and run the server, yeah, so I'm not entirely sure if there is a point for the fastest lap. I think there is, and Azure has managed to stay ahead of Kfan and is just flying away with it. So we'll go to the cockpit cam just to see how he extracts the lap time from this track, and we'll see how this goes. Final lap of the race, pushes the car to the left hand side. Nice exit out of there, doesn't take too much of the sausage curve, and now down the straight up towards through turn 2 and into turn 3, gets nicely across the curbing on the left hand side. Oh, my username is just Skexus. So oh no, we've had a retirement. Kfan has retired from the race. What happened there? Not entirely sure. Looks like he went into the pits and just everyone's disappearing now. That's weird. Alrighty then. So Azure out in front, D Nell in second. Kfan has disappeared, as has Altman. So not entirely sure what happened there. And I'm sure we'll have some sort of maybe a server crash or something that caused it, but Azure comes through the final corner, so no server crash that I can tell, because otherwise he would be jittering all over the place. Race complete. Azure crosses the line. DNL in second place, And we'll need to find out what happened to K-Fan and Altman. That's very strange. So, crossing the line, and that is the end of the race. It has been an absolute pleasure to have you all here, and yeah, it's all done. So good to see the guys getting through, and thank you so much to everyone who joined us in the chat. Thank you to the guys on the field itself. Yeah, absolutely, Cosmic. It would be it would be great to see you manage to get around next time. Obviously, stick drift is something that's incredibly frustrating. Yeah, unfortunately my controller is starting to do that as well. Luckily, I don't use it for racing, so not too bad. But yeah, thank you so much to everyone who did join us this evening. We will be back on the 9th of September for the German Grand Prix. We'll confirm which track that is in the Discord, I'm sure. And yeah, it's been great to have you all in the chat. Thank you so much, and we'll check you next time.